Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Everybody loves a good story, one that inspires you, makes you think a little bit. She has so many great stories that oftentimes, if not every time, has an important meaning that kind of makes you think. We like to call her a heyoka, a storyteller. She's also a life coach of sorts. She is intuitive. She's a medium. She is Janis Reed, and she's back with us. Hi, Janis. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. I have been waiting for this conversation. I am so ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow is a lot of twos involved, twos and couples and split decisions, and it's election day here in our country. Perfect. Just perfect. So I look around, I did some cards today, I laid some cards down to try to see how I might, appease the masses. There are a lot of people real upset about stuff and other people real upset about other stuff. And I'm trying to hide out in the bed. The cat's under the bed. I can't hide under there anymore. And so I'm having to deal with reality. And so I looked at how it reflected, how the people around me are reflected in me, how I'm reflecting the other people. I've had to make a few decisions too lately, and some of them have been uncomfortable. Last summer, I bought new windows for this house. And they said, oh, they're great. It'd be there between November and January. And I'm thinking snow up past the windowsills to put the new windows in. And to my surprise, it was like 72 degrees and beautiful. Overcast, not even sunny. Nobody even got a sunburn. The windows went in with no problem. So I'm thinking about this, and I like to pay attention to the week or so, the few days before you and I talk, to kind of get some clues about what might be worth addressing. And this business of responding to our choices given to us. I could throw a fit. I could throw down a gauntlet. I could pack up my toys and go home. A few weeks ago, you and I talked about a refrigerator. Oh, the ode to the refrigerator. Last night, I decided that today I would drive the hour or so to the store and one more time tell the manager, I was getting rude by this time, just a little bit loud enough so he could hear and everybody could know that he was being able to hear what I told him about his refrigerator and not being able to pick it up. When this morning the phone rang at 8 o'clock and the woman said, hi, this is the store. Can we come get that refrigerator? I didn't even have to pick the phone up. And I laughed. Yesterday, I was talking to a young man out west. He's in financial situations where he's benefiting from the assistance of good people while he gets his feet on his ground. And he was concerned about getting a coat before it got cold. Well, I know it's snowing somewhere up north, and I'm not sure exactly where he is, so I told him I'd be sure to get him a coat. He said, well, the people that I'm staying with say I can get one on Tuesday. Long as the weather doesn't get too bad, I'll be all right till Tuesday. I said, well, you need a jacket before then, you let me know. He said, before Tuesday? I said, do you need a jacket? He said, well, I'm worried I might. I said, well, you let me know. We'll make sure you get a jacket. After we talked a little bit more, we hung up. Later that night, I get an email. When I hung up the phone, there was a knock at the door. There were the people with his jacket. He didn't have to wait till Tuesday. So he's doing a little happy dance because I told him I'd get him a jacket and it came within minutes. I love that stuff when it happens. So with this election stuff tomorrow, there's a lot of fear going around. Fear about what if and what if. And so if the coat distribution fairy is any clue, maybe the thing we should be looking for is not what scares us, but what we want. Maybe instead of responding to the fears other people are really hoping to instill in us, we bite down on something really hard and close our eyes and just like hold our breath until we turn blue, and realize which part of that game is their game and which part is our game. Why are we upset? Why do we think those are the only choices? Somebody says, well, we have to do this or that. We've got to. Yeah, maybe, but there's a lot of times there's other choices. Those are the two choices they want you to think about. But the choices we come up with on our own are often much more suitable for ourselves than what somebody well-intended was trying to sell us. So I've been really good. I've stayed off of social media now because political time on social media makes me nauseous, and mean is just meaner than anything. Because I respond, I'm empathic, so I get in there and I beat on,
I
I say
delete.
bad things.
I delete. I
Well,
don't respond.
this time
Or
it
I
was
hide.
coming, yeah, it was coming up in my Facebook. I lost it. I'm like one keystroke, but losing the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't hit the keystroke, and that's kept me off of social media. Pretty clever.
Okay.
I have no idea what's going on out there, except I saw a commercial. And so I'm trying to do my makeup a little bit more for the camera, like some of the ladies running for office. They look good doing one job, but now they want to be office officials. Well, at least I can, use their makeup ideas. Something they can provide for me. See, there's always something somebody can provide for you, even if you don't really care for them. I'm not big into makeup, but apparently when I don't wear any, and you and I talk, I just turn into a big white glare. It's that glowing inside of me.
It's your
It
inner
is,
glow.
it is the inner light. It's blinding. So I toned it down today, and I thought of matters and lakes and tried to put some color into my face. Um, Not what I wanted, but hey, it does look better on camera.
You look
So
great. Yeah.
well, thank you, thank you. I'm really not a bad looking woman. It's just that I don't care.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. I forget what I look like. One day I looked up every so often. My mother looks at me in the mirror. And I freak out because you know, she said she wasn't going to stay buried, and she shows up. But this responding to what people expect us to be, and the election coming up, and all these twos and 11s and splits for tomorrow. There's a lot of people wondering, well, I should stick up for my buddies. And the other people saying, well, I should stick up for our kids. And somebody else saying, but we need money for all that. Let's just go for the money. And we can, we're all going to live on Mars one day, so we don't need to take care of this planet. We just need the money so we can get off of it and go somewhere else and destroy that place. I mean, civilize that place too. People tell us all kinds of stories. Shoot, I tell you a story if you want a good story. But tomorrow is when the story comes up to the surface and people have to say their truth. They have an opportunity to speak their truth. And it's really private, and it's pretty darn near impenetrable. I won't say it won't be. I mean, sometimes people make mistakes and screw up. But generally speaking, elections here in this country are some of the safest anywhere in the whole world. And they were last time, and they will be this time. They were the safest elections when President Reagan went in. They were the safest elections when Clinton went in, and everybody else. We strive hard. So I think tomorrow you can vote pretty securely and not worry about it not getting to the right count board. As long as you do your part, they'll do their part. This is America. And we're united. It's where the two halves and all the split decisions, we come together united as one nation under one God, no matter what you call that God. You can, any religion in the world, have different versions of some intonation to identify the superpower that we call God. In God we trust. In God we were made the image of. So we ought to be pretty clever, or at least as good looking as me.
Now, Janice, you said at the beginning here, you pulled some cards
Mm-hmm.
for tomorrow. Did they
Yeah.
reveal anything? Are you feeling anything? What are your thoughts there?
Well, it was pretty accurate. It was pretty accurate. It reminded me to tell people about cleansing, frog medicine, cleansing away the illusions, washing away what's not yours so that you can see what is. Before we go in and vote tomorrow, we need to make sure that I'm voting for my vote and not what I think you might like me better for if I voted like you did. Tomorrow I'm going to go vote, and I hope everybody else does, for what is going to feed their children the best. What's going to keep their grandbabies the safest? That's what I want them to vote for, because we need to vote for a future or we won't have one. We need to vote for the people that will keep our planet healthy so that our children and our grandchildren can be healthy. We have to take into account that there are people who are not going to agree with us no matter how we give in to them. They're going to find one more thing that they're not happy about. We don't really need to respond to those people over and over. We can simply ignore them. No matter how much press time they get, some people just don't deserve anyone's attention. So we don't have to give it to them. In the privacy of a voting booth, we don't have to give anyone our attention that we don't think deserves it. We don't have to vote for anyone that might be pushing something that is going to take away our children's future. Play the long game. Money hasn't always been here. I mean, used to use clamshells and Flintstones. So voting for the money, that's just a halfway vote. That's like a Band-Aid for now. That money will do a lot. It won't buy you air when you're gasping for it. And it won't buy you clean water.
It'll do a lot, but depends on what you're doing with it. And
Depends on who's
who's
doing what
doing
with
what.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Money by itself isn't an evil. It's a great tool of commerce, and commerce can move mountains and countries. I mean, it can also screw it up. So money shouldn't be the first order of thought. It should be one of those included. The first one is, what will give you a tomorrow? Because it doesn't matter what gets voted into law if you don't get a tomorrow to express and live with that, to have a chance to enjoy it or a chance to vote it out. So vote for a good life, vote for the planet. If we don't have a good foundation, we fall through the floor. And if she's not a foundation, I don't know what this planet is. She grows our food. She accepts our nastiness. She takes our bodies in. She spurts our bodies out. She creates telephones that are just going to ring until it quits. But a lot of people would have us try to believe that they know what we need to do.
You know what that phone call is? It's probably a automated phone call
The refrigerator. The refrigerator people.
Could be, but
I bet it is.
maybe.
Oh, it's from Smethikapumsk. It was a call from Smethikapumsk. I like the computer operated voices that just blend all the noises together.
Like, what? Who is that? It was an automated phone call from a candidate looking for your vote.
Yes, yes. Will you send me $2 so I can take your life away from you? Vote for me. Yeah, I thought about going out and working the polls, but I wanted people to come and vote. I didn't want to scare anybody off, with my glowing disposition and all.
You always do glow. Every time we get together, we always talk about, moving the lighting and it just, you don't even do anything and you glow. It's interesting.
It's, I said I was Heyoka and struck by lightning. And people think, well, that's just words, but ta-da!
I think she's being truthful about it, and this is the lasting after effects of that potentially.
It kind of is. It
Hmm.
kind of is. Interestingly, in the census reports, my family were often labeled as Black people. We were Negroes. I'm very, very pale skinned. Everybody's a little piece of a lot of things. So,
Well, you know what? Have you done one of those DNA tests?
no, no, it would just say I was everything.
How would you know?
Well, just family stories are enough to scare me. Did I ever tell you I was born out of a marsh in the swamps?
Is this
We
like a?
got,
Is
I
this
got
legit?
family in there that they probably don't have a whole lot of other relatives.
This is we're talking. This is a true story, right?
True story, yeah. Yeah, I was born near the swamps and the marshes of Glen off the coast of Georgia. I really was. I was not taken into the marshes until I was about 9. We took a field trip out to the Okefenokee swamps, and we rode a flat bottom boat out into the swamp. And all us young girls didn't have a care in the world because the guide that was poling our boat through the swamp had just come off a movie set. He played Elvis Presley's double. So all us young girls were just enamored by this Elvis Presley guy that was pulling us through this gorgeous swamp area with the hanging things and the growy things. When a frog jumped out of the swamp from one side of the boat all the way across and over and to the other side of the boat, it had to have been at least 4 foot long, maybe 5. It was one of the biggest frogs I've ever seen. Elvis nearly lost his boatload of young girls because it scared the bejeebers out of us. Knowing that, when I was much younger, I was still in my crib. From a crib, we got put into the kid bed, the baby bed. It was a low to the ground youth bed my dad had made. So for little people trying to get used to not having to sleep in a crib.
Hmm.
So I was in that bed when the dream came and woke me up. I had never been to the swamps before. This was much when I was much younger. So when I went to the swamps, I was delighted to find out it was true. In this vision, I woke up from my nap, laying belly down on the back of a gigantic alligator. I could feel the rough skin, leathery like, under my hands. I could feel the movement of the alligator's shoulders as she swam slowly through the swamp, riding me on her back. She was snow white, just completely white. There was no coloring to her. She had the sweetest eyes. And I rode her. She would go underneath the hanging moss and it would stroke me over my face and ride down my back. At breakfast, I tried to explain to my parents this ride through the swamp I had taken with an alligator, and they didn't really understand 3-year-old, excited 3-year-old very well, or 2-year-old. But during this ride, we came by one log, and this group of little forest animals, there was like raccoons and foxes and little squirrely things, mammals on the log, and they told me I needed to get off of that alligator. She would turn around and eat me. Could never trust an alligator. Never, 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 never trust an alligator. And they all sang in chorus, never trust an alligator. Get off the back. But she was like my mother. She felt like my kin. And I told them I didn't know what they were talking about.
Now wait a
And we
second.
just, yep.
Let me make sure I have that clear. You're saying the alligator felt like it was your kin?
I felt like the alligator was my kin. I felt like I was being carried around on the back of my mom or an aunt, some strong female relative of, that, we look different, but when you're a little kid, things don't look so different.
Hmm.
The This alligator I learned later was my first totem experience, and that it was a white alligator. It was a spirit alligator, and that it was an alligator. It was one of the very first created animals on this planet. Alligators and crocodiles are much older than dinosaurs. Ancient spirit of alligator took me for a tour of the swamp when I was just in the little bit kid bed. And I didn't know what the swamp looked like until that frog broke the lock on Elvis Presley in the boat when I was 10. Stories come to me backward. It's the way of the Heyoka.
Well, I see that. And fortunately, I mean, cockroaches have been around here a long time. So hopefully you don't have any encounters with them. Yeah,
I
right.
haven't, well, only that one story. I forget who wrote it, the terrible one of when the man turned into a cockroach in high school. One of those horrible books that the teacher said, but you have to read it. Oh, The Metamorphosis, I think it was called. Terrible book, scary book.
It's just like you just brought back a memory when you have to do things. Like I remember junior high school and have to dissect a frog. I don't want to do that. Why do I have to do that? And then the smell of formaldehyde.
Oh, don't.
Oh, oh, just thinking about it, it brings back memories. Just walking into the science lab of that smell, like
Oh, gosh.
worst
We
smell
had
ever.
our science room had an outside door, and the science teacher had opened that outside door for the air with the frog thing. And I looked at that frog, and I'm just, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
And so I went over to the teacher and I said, let me pass this some other way than cutting open that frog. And she said, why? And I said, mm. And we found another way for me not to have to cut open a frog. I'd just throw up on the thing and you'd be a wrecked frog. So
There wasn't any choices when I was in school. It was like you're doing this. I'm like, okay, well,
she thought I was going to do it until she looked at me and realized that there was no way around it. I was going to throw up. It was going to be all over everything.
yeah.
And it was lucky that I was standing outside because no, I can't do it. I appreciated the notion, but no,
Yeah.
I'm glad kids can do it today online.
Which is worse, you throwing up with the smell of formaldehyde?
I figured it would be her having to clean it up.
Yeah, well, then there's that.
I won.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have to deal with things. But see, she said you have to do this or you fail. And I found a third way not to fail
So
because I
what's
seriously couldn't do the one option. There wasn't an option for me to use that option.
so what's the latest on the refrigerator? You said that you went to the store, you took the drive to the store. Did I hear that right?
I was going to get up and do that today. I thought I'd talk to you and then I'd get in the car and I'd just drive that like hour and a half over there. And by that time, I would have come up with some, good storylines to explain my need for them to come and retrieve it. And it's been really difficult because you really shouldn't say things like that to people, no matter how they deserve it. So writing and rewriting it, and the phone rang and they called. They heard me thinking it. The kid needed a jacket, he got a jacket. The same day I threatened to call, they called me the next morning.
So they want to come and get their state of the art refrigerator that was all beat up from the delivery, and it's laying on your porch. And I'm surprised it
Yeah,
took that long to come and get a refrigerator.
they think that they left it in August. No, let's see. I don't know what they think anymore, but they're going to give it back. They're going to give me my money back, but they won't give me my money back until they come and take the thing away. It's like they're gonna do this one way or another. They have to. It must be in the bylines or something. But I'm patient.
Yeah, well, at least they reached out to you, so there's some kind of contact there.
Yep. It was a woman. I figured a woman would be the one to take care of it. I don't mean to be rude, but
Wow.
it's just in that particular business, in that store, that seems to be the route. So we always have choices.
And we'll be exercising those choices tomorrow, I guess.
Mhm. We have to look for the good stuff. We will almost always find what we look for. So we need to look for the good things and vote in the good things rather than try to just keep out the bad stuff. If we're not careful when we, try to push away the bad things, what we're doing is we're creating a wall that keeps all the good things away from us too.
And
so we have to be really careful what we wall out and what we let in.
It's not just the money.
It's never been about the money. Mm-mm.
Janis, great talking with you today. If anybody wants to find you, talk with you,
come to the creek. I'll be on the front porch.
Riding an alligator.
Riding an alligator, yes.
What's your email address
again? Get a hold of the Goddess Janis, goddessjanis@hotmail.com. It's a GODDESSJANIS at hotmail.com.
I'd love next time we get together, because I forgot that you pull cards. Maybe we could pick a couple of things and pull some cards, maybe for some people.
I'd love that. I would love that. I tried very hard to be able to produce this today, looking for a place where the light wouldn't, where I would look like I had a face in here and not just a light bulb. And I did try it out inside the skiff. I have a steam shower unit, and the light was really good in there, but it dripped on the computer, so I let that one out. Lots of different ways I tried to get here.
I think you're in a good spot there. Yeah.
We'll do this. We'll do this.
All
but
right.
Yeah, I would love, I was going to ask people if I was doing it from the shower, if they could guess where I was in the house, I'd give them a free reading. But I didn't do that. So the cards is a good thing. Yeah, get some people to call in. We'll pull some cards and flip out answers. Ba-bop, ba-bop, ba-bop.
Let's do that next time.
That'd be fun.
All right, Janis. Thanks a lot, and be well, and we'll talk soon.
You too. You too. Enjoy the day, everybody. Vote with your heart.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.